Hello everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to be making a set of tongs using the Hardy Hammer. The Hardy Hammer is a hammer that I designed and created this year, just a few months back. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed the promo video that I put out there. I sell plans for this hammer. I did another video where I did a pretty much a how-to tutorial of making power hammer top tooling to be used specifically under this hammer. It can also be used under the revisited design of the original Davinci Cam Hammer. So hopefully you guys can check out those videos. I'll put the links to those in the description below. But this is in a supportive of that to show you some of its uses and how handy it could be to you. The methods that I'm using to take and do the tongs today, you can use on pretty much anything. If you don't have a power hammer, that's okay. You can still use the same methods. It's just a little different techniques that you'll have to come up with. And I may do a video of hand forging a pair of tongs in the future. Today's video will be going over my techniques that I use, the layout of tongs, and making your first simple set of tongs under the hammer. So thank you all for watching, and we'll get to it. Okay, ladies and gents, here we are at the work table. The first thing I'd like to point out is where most people have problems with their tongs and making tongs is in their layout. You cannot just take a random piece of steel when you're getting started, when you're first getting started, and just pick a place on it, start hitting it, and forming out a set of tongs all by eye. That takes considerable practice, and so a lot of beginners give up. So today I'm hoping to help you all with that. So today I've already marked out my tongs. This is a piece of 1/4 inch thick by 1 inch wide flat stock, and I have marked it on opposing sides of the bar, 1.5 inches from the end and 3 inches from the end. So each of these segments are 1.5 inches. That's going to be important here in just a minute when we actually form the tongs. Layout at this stage is absolutely crucial. If you notice the center punch dots, they're on opposite ends of the bar stock. So hopefully this is getting in shot. I'm going to hold it. Yep, there it is. It's in shot. So this is important. This is going to create the offset for the boss area. This will become the boss, this will become the bits, and these will become the reins. So that's stage one. Also, if you notice, I've put a chisel mark on the top edges. These help me locate it. These center punch marks, which will go away when they're forged out, and so will these chisel lines, they help me locate where I'm at to start my shouldering to create the tongs. Okay? So step one in my process and how I differ from a lot of guys on making their tongs. I see so many guys struggle with the concept of doing the left, left, left turn method to create tongs. And the reason why is eventually what ends up happening, and the tongs will end up getting weak right in this joint and right in back in this joint. And the reason why is because we start with the wrong end, in my opinion. The wrong end of the tongs first. So I'm not going to start with my offset for the bits. I'm going to start with my offset for the reins. So if you have a long bar that you're working on, you would essentially just mark off the amount of material you need for your reins and draw that out first. Yes, that's right. I like to draw out my reins in one continuous method. There's other methods of making tongs, but this is my method. So I like to draw out the reins. And yes, you can do this by hand. The Hardy Hammer makes it a lot easier. The original Davinci Cam Hammer with the revisited design makes this a lot easier. If you got any power assistance whatsoever, press, you name it, a buddy striking it with a sledge, it makes this process a lot quicker. But it is not unobtainable by a guy with his own hand hammer. So anyways, enough of that ramble there. the point that I like to make is if you draw out your tong reins first, then you have not only a handle to hold on to, okay, while you're working out the bits, which makes it convenient versus messing with another pair of tongs, but also, now you're not taking and trying to hold on to some weird, goofy bit of like an actual set of tongs. And I'll show you what I mean here. Here's a lightweight set of tongs that I was making out of some 1/2-inch bar, which I've decided against going out that route because forging from square is a little bit more different and not as easy as the method I'm about to go over. But once you've got this jaw here, now you're working with a complicated shape to try to hold, to draw out your reins and create your boss. As you can see with this set of tongs, there is no boss, and that's okay. There's no need in a boss. You just need an area where this can make a hinge joint. Now, it looks really nice when you've got a real nice boss and that nice offset in it, but this can work just as well, and I can show that in the later videos. But the main reason why I draw out the reins first is because I don't want to have to hold on to this weird little snippet and then stress out the internal portion here, which will eventually crack off and then people's tongs break and you lose a jaw and you're really unhappy. So, step one, we're going to draw out the reins. Then, once the reins are drawn out on both sets of tongs, once it's all drawn out, we'll flip it around, and then we will take and put in our offset for our bits and finish them up, and then fit them and do all that good stuff like you normally see tongs to do. Second point I will go ahead and point out, I don't know if this is my second or my third here, guys, I'm getting a little lost on that, but the next point, let's just call it that I'd like to point out, is if you want to reach a level of consistency with your work, with your tong work, okay, it is my suggestion, in order to get these dead even with each other, especially when drawing out, draw out the reins of one and make the other set of reins match it before going on to the next step. So every time you do a step, do it to one, then do it to the other. Have two pieces of material working on at all times. Reason for that being is maybe your memory's not so good like mine, but you forget how much or what processes sometimes you use to draw out the reins, or how much you drew it out, or roughly what its thickness was or sides when you drew out the reins. And then you go to try to blindly work on your other ones, and then when you put them together, you're like, oh crap, I missed it. You know, this rein's too long, or this rein's too short, and I got to draw it out more. So when you're drawing out the reins in this orientation here, when you're drawing out the reins, why not draw out both reins? When you're creating your offset for the bits of your tongs, why not create both offsets? When you're punching your holes for the boss of your tongs for your rivets, why not punch both holes? That way, when you put it together, it's going to match every time. Every time. If your method of work is consistent, it will match every single time. So you won't have any of this, you know, one jaw clear out here, one jaw way back here and whatnot. You won't have any of that garbage that you'll have to mess with, and the forging process will go a lot smoother. So without any further ado, we're going to go over the Hardy hammer now, and we're going to be using the tooling that I made in another video to draw out the reins. And I won't make you watch me draw out all the reins, so I'll probably just do a speeded up clip. You know, because even with a power hammer, it's a long process. So, you know, unless you got a 400-pound hammer or something like that, and then it'll probably make pretty quick work of it. But this isn't so. So anyways, so we are going to draw out. I'm going to work on one side on camera to show you this. I'll probably speed it up, and then I'll come back after that stage is done. And meanwhile, off camera, I'll be bringing the second piece up to the same stage every time. So hopefully this is on camera. Hopefully I've been on camera this whole time. I'm mostly on camera. You guys will live with it. Anyways, let's get started. Okay everyone, we're here at the anvil. What I want to take and do real quick before I go on to actually doing the forging here and it gets real loud and I won't be doing any talking. I want to show you the tool we're going to be using. Right here we're going to be using what I call the layout tool. Hopefully you guys can see that in the photo there, in the video. And we're going to lay it out on that notch we had previously made. When this is heated, this will sit flat on the anvil, and then we'll lay that marking tool right in the groove, stand it up like so, and use it to hammer down. What that's going to do is that's going to segregate what'll be our boss and our jaw of the tong from our handle. So we want to go ahead and set that down first, and we'll do that on both pieces. And then we will go to actually drawing out the actual handle material. Another thing to note, which I'll put a picture of it at the end of this video, is I moved the Hardy hammer up on a spacer plate. The spacer plate underneath it is 1 inch tall. So I did this in order to make up room for top tooling, like this. So this way it can still get a full stroke and hit the other and hit the material. It was stated in the Hardy hammer actual promo video that one of the guys didn't think that it had enough stroke and that the other hammer I designed was better, and that's a matter of preference. But this hammer is going to be a lot handier for top tooling and things of that nature. So if you guys have bought in the plans for this hammer, I suggest that you make some top tooling to really make this hammer a benefit to you. That's going to be stage 1. So I'll bring it out at heat and I'll go ahead and do the first stage, which is set this material down. And hopefully we can see this in the photo. And I'm just going to set this here to try to get a real good quick check and just leave that lay there. Yeah, it looks like we're really good in video. So I'm going to try to leave that right there. I've got a piece hot. It's good and hot now. One thing I should point out is in this, right now my camera's having a little trouble taking and focusing on what an actual heat is. The heat that's coming out on this bar stock is actually only probably like a bright orange, a dull yellow in color. On camera it may look a lot hotter than what it is. So that's something else to take into effect when you guys are watching videos around YouTube. When it looks like they've got the fiery face of God on the end of their bar stock there, a lot of times that's just not so. A lot of times it's, maybe orange in color or maybe yellow in color temperature. But it's just not that hot. So anyways, I'm going to bring this up to heat here and we'll go to town. So now you guys know what we're doing. We're starting at our 3-inch mark. And we're going to go ahead and make this first thing. I'm going to shut up. And now would be a good time to turn down your volume a little bit for the hammer running. Okay guys, so as you can see here, I made my first set down, and hopefully this is in the shot here. Right now the color of the temperature is about a red in heat. This first set down is crucial to isolate the boss area. So this material, I think it was 1/2-inch square stock when I cut it in half on the diagonal. So that's in roughly about 1/2 inch, not quite. And that's a good spot for the reins to start, about there. And now we're going to draw out the rest of this material. Alright everyone, the next tool we're going to use is we're going to use this half round, or a fuller tool to use under the power hammer. we're going to still be working up near that shoulder that we set down, and we're going to be drawing out the material back a little bit. What this will do is this will give us a finished dimension of thickness where we want our reins to go, and then the rest is just tapered out to affinity from there, or as close to. By the end of the handle reins, we want probably 3/8 to maybe 5/16 of an inch at the reins, at the furthest part of the reins end. So I'll just show you how I'm going to fuller this through. And then when I'm doing the drawing out process, I will just go ahead and just speed it up. So it won't be in real time. It'll just help speed this process up. So our metal's good and hot. Let's get it going. Turn your sound down. Okay, so if you can tell from my thumbs up, I told you to turn your sound back up. So I didn't quite get as much work done as I wanted to at that point. Mainly I wanted to focus more of my heat up here. And I have already flipped the tong end around. And what I'll do is I'll just go back around to the other end because I want to localize. I'm working in a coal forge. I want to localize a lot of heat in here and get this area set down first. And then draw out the rest of my handle. It's kind of hard to tell, but I started with a 10-inch length. I forgot to tell you that in the beginning. This is a 10-inch long piece to start with. And then I marked out 1.5 inches for the bit, and then another 1.5 inches for where the set down for the reins was going to be. And then right now, my current length, with just that one heat and that original set down, I'm about 10 3/4 inches long already. So I grew about 3/4 of an inch in length between putting that little set down in there and drawing that out. That's pretty good in one heat there, guys, so far. I'm going to get it hotter. I like to work my stuff really hot. And I'm going to start right in here first and really get this down to dimension where I want it. And then I'll go on to drawing out the rest of my reins. So that'll be the next step. And I'll be right back with you. Okay, everyone. As you can see, that worked out pretty well. I went ahead and cut the talking. That way I could just turn down the volume for that period of time. What I want to show you here is this is a round bar. This is a 1-inch round bar. I'm going to show you a little different technique because I know some of you guys maybe don't have welders and or maybe have not want to conquer doing a top tooling thing yet. So say you don't want to do the top tooling, you can create some of the same things by using bottom tools. This is just a 1-inch bar. I'm going to set it and hold it on the face of the anvil and use it as a bottom fuller. Consequently, if you wanted to do your set down the same way, hold on, talking out of here, you can put a bar like this, a square bar of any sort, underneath the material to create your same shoulders or things of that nature. Or even smaller radius bars for more aggressive fuller work or layout. So that's one thing you can do if you don't have the tools made yet for this and you've already made the hammer. I recommend making the top tooling. It saves your wrists a ton. But this is another way of doing this, so I'm going to go ahead and show the drawing out process now in the next clip using this. And I'll do it in real time. The other two clips, they were in real time, just so you get a feel of how hard the hammer's working. I'm going to go ahead and do the next clip in real time, and then somewhere in there I'll just go ahead and speed it up to 2x or 4x or something like that, just to speed this process along so the video doesn't get too long on us here. But essentially, in real time, it's just taking your time and drawing out a really nice taper. So, okay, I got my piece hot. And we'll be back in the next clip. Okie doke, everyone. I got both my tong blanks drawn out, their reins, underneath the Hardy hammer there. As you can see, the shouldering starts the same place on both tongs, and then continues down. This here is about 3/8 square now, roughly, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the sped up version of that, so you didn't have to watch all the boring drawing out videos. So as I said, we started with a 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat bar by 10 inches long, and now we've grown to about 18 inches in length. Let's see if See if you guys can see that there. Nope. Anyways, the ruler says 18 inches. You guys probably can't see it. A little over 18 inches, 18 3/8 or something like that, inches in length. That's irrelevant. They both match. I like long-handled tongs. I'll get into that in another video. That's a completely other scenario entirely. But they don't have to be this long. Make them however long you like. Now you can hopefully still see here. Let me come around. Yep. Okay. Now you can still see our center punch marks on the opposite end of the bar. We're going to go ahead and set that down now under the power hammer. We'll do them both together. You know, do one, then we'll do the other one. I'll just film the one though, and then we're almost really done. We are really close. The only difference is on this side here, I'm not going to go as deep as in with the first one. I'm just going to go partially deep, and then I'm going to actually put in my fuller tool and drive my fuller tool down. And there's a reason for that. You'll see it here in a minute. Once we drive down that fuller tool down to about halfway or half the depth, then we're going to be able to take and do the last portion of this, which is actually make the jaws themselves. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but since we're starting with 1/4x1, I'm going to do a simple twist jaw method, and I'll show you how that comes out. And then we will do our final fit up, and we will have ourselves a working pair of tongs. So I hope you all have enjoyed the video so far. As I said before, if you don't have a power hammer, maybe consider buying the plans for this power hammer or the revisited Davinci Cam Hammer. It will help you make these tongs really good. If you don't want to do all that, obviously you can do this by hand. It just takes a little longer. So in that sped up clip, there was probably, I'm just talking right now. Who knows? I'll be correct. I'll stand corrected in the video here. But I think to get to this length handle, there was about 5 heats, 5-6 heats under the power hammer, which is pretty good. You know, not too bad in time. It'll take you longer than that to do it by hand, or most people to do it by hand. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and knock this down, and I'll show you how that'll start shaping up, and then you'll start saying, hey, that looks like the boss of a pair of tongs, and looks like the jaws. So we'll do that part, and then we'll move on. we go for the twist. Hope you guys enjoyed all them drawing out photos and the use of that hammer, because now we're all into just making this work. So now I'm going to twist what would be to my left. So we're going to twist it that way, and then I'm going to take a hammer, I'm going to straighten her up here. Okay, get that all in line. Let's see here, hopefully you guys can see this on camera. So you can clearly see that twist there. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take and hammer out that twist a little bit over at the anvil. And so I'll pull you over to the anvil and show you that. But the next one's going to be exactly the same here. So we've got this twisted. I'll do the same one, the same direction. Gripping it by the boss. And then lining up your jaws by the other end of that U and go in the same direction. This is similar to that left, left, left thing. If you go in opposite directions of each other, they won't line up. So that's just something to keep in mind there. So I'll clean it up here. Nice. Okay. Then we'll go over to the anvil. I'll take another heat on these, and then we'll hammer this up. Oh, as you can see, that little twist there. Just like so. Alright everyone, we're going to go to the horn of the anvil now, and we're going to clean up these radiuses. Where we've got that twist, and we're going to try to forge out this twist a little bit. Oh. Just to get it a little cleaner look, a little sleeker. I'm using a rounded face hammer. This all cleaned up. We'll go to the flat. Clean that out some better. Go to the radius of the horn. Clean it up a little more. And so on and so forth. Now you get it as clean as you like. Get that offset finished off. Just going to clean up that jaw area. Real quick, something I want to mention, and I don't know if you notice on the camera, but I've actually got a little cold shut started there from a missed hammer blow. So I'll have to dress that out with a file before I go on to the next step. One thing I want to mention is the reason why I started off the video saying that these are a good light duty to medium duty pair of tongs is because of this twisted section. Any time that you twist the parent bar material, it is less strong at that twist. So these are great for when you've got light work to do, or you don't have a lot of clamping pressure you need. And they work out pretty quick too. So that's just something to keep in mind, that these are light to medium duty tongs. I am not recommending these for if you've got a bunch of heavy work to take and do. This is simply just one way of working it. One way of making a set of tongs that'll get work done for you until you can keep practicing your craft at making better tongs. So I'll go ahead and make another set. I got the other side heated up. I'll go ahead and work that joint out. Same thing as before, going over the radius of the anvil, pushing that out, radius again. These are consequently left-hand turns, working out those internal radiuses. Keep this forged the way I like to see it. I'm using a small rounding hammer to do this work. This just helps a little bit and giving me some different options. I have a square-faced hammer that I forge with all the time. That's a wrought iron hammer. And it's good for some things. To get into certain areas, but then certain areas you just can't beat a rounded faced hammer. This certainly works out better. So anyways, so now I'm just cold working it here, just trying to clean up and smooth up some of my areas. But there's the tong half number 2. So if you want to put these together, they go just like that. One flips over on top of the other, and voila, you've got yourselves a pair of tongs there. So, so now the next step, you can either punch these or drill these. I recommend drilling. I like to drill them. Punching's faster, but drilling is more accurate. So I like to drill them. I'll drill one, set it on top of the other, drill and mark through, and then do my rivet work and final assembly. So I'll go ahead and get these drilled, and then I'll come back, and then we'll do our rivet work and our final adjusting and fitting to a pair of stock. Thanks for watching, everybody. Okay, everyone, before I rivet this together, I want to do some a couple quick tips. One thing I shoot for when I'm making a rivet is that each side that's sticking out on these tongs here, hopefully we got that in shot, is roughly a cube of material. For tong rivets, I don't go any smaller than 3/8 inch around stock for diameter to make my rivets out of. And so I drilled a 3/8 inch hole. You want even amount sticking out both sides, so you want to cut your piece of bar stock, mild steel pin to length, and you want to make sure that your tongs, before you start your riveting process, are sitting nice and flush together. If they stay nice and flush together, that's going to come in play once we do all of our heat fitting and stuff. But right now, just to get this rivet nice and tight in there, we want that to look like that, really nice and tight. So I'm going to hold down with one, kind of to the other, and I'm just going to use a rounded peen. This is a lightweight hammer to just kind of swell out the end, so this way that tong piece can't come off. We'll flip it around, adjust the tightness of the fit again, and do it again. As you can see, I'm setting this cold. We're going to do it cold, and then we're going to hot fit it. So, you know, I like to do these cold first and get it all riveted down, and then I'll heat the jaws up and work them. So I don't like hot riveting for my tongs. I find all that it does is swell out the hole, and it makes it a lot tougher joint to get right. So just using full hammer strokes here, people. And creating some nice domed rivets. And that's what we're wanting. We're wanting this top to be spanning out. So I'm just working all the way around the head of that rivet, trying to keep it nice and even. So on and so forth. It's important, guys, take your time with this. It takes a little bit to get it right. So just work both sides evenly. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to squeeze this, and it won't move. So that joint's locked up nice and tight. So now what I'll do is I'll take it to the forge, heat it up, and then we'll work this joint open. So I'll be back when I do that. Alright, here we are, guys. As you can see, they're about at a red heat, and the tong joint's starting to loosen up. That's about the time you want to work this back and forth, open and close, while it cools slowly. Because we want this to rotate nicely. So we're going to work that joint in and out. I'll go ahead at this point, go ahead and drive these jaws together a little bit and get them lined up. I haven't decided what style tongs I want to make these yet. I may end up fitting these around some other smaller stock or something at a later date. Not quite sure just yet. But we're getting them fit, getting the jaws fitted here. Now you can see that that looks like a really nice clean set of tongs there, guys. So And it's still hot enough that we can work that rein joint out. At this point, you want to just keep working that vigorously. Go as far as you can and go as closed as you can with it, and so on and so forth. Then we'll get that a little more heat in that. Close these jaws in a little better. Get everything nice and lined up. Keep that joint nice and tight. And that's a good tight fitting pair of tongs. So you see guys all the time, it's been the thing, you quench them in water and work them back and forth. I find it's nice to kind of season them like a frying skillet by dipping them in oil and then working that joint out back and forth. I find it leaves the tong jaws a little better finish, and therefore gives you a little, it almost gives it a little bit of an oil or a grease between the two surfaces that the tongs have, and makes them pretty slick. They rub together real nice that way then. That's getting pretty loose there. But so I will usually quench these once they get down to a black heat like this in oil, and then just work them back and forth. I'll show you guys that real quick and the desired result. But there you go. Not bad. Not bad at all. So, anyways, I hope everybody found this video handy. I'll just go ahead and, instead of doing a dip in the oil, I'll just finish them off, and you guys can kind of surmise how that's been. It's been a long enough video as it is. I hope you all enjoyed watching this. I enjoyed making these set of tongs for you all today. Hopefully that'll help out some beginners. Every process that I've mentioned in here, everything I did under the power hammer can be done by hand. I'll just say that again. The only difference is there, guys, you're just going to have more sweat equity in it. But a good set of tongs is worth doing right. So, anyways, hope that'll help everybody out there. Anybody who likes to make tongs or makes their own tooling, hopefully this will help you guys out. Start making your first sets of tongs. Like I said again, these are a nice light to medium duty pair of tongs. I would not suggest them for heavy work because of the twisted jaw. So, anyways, hope this helps you guys out, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and I greatly appreciate it. God bless you all. Have a great day.